Hello again and welcome back to our course on Project 2019. In this section we're going to take a look at a couple of aspects of security in Microsoft Project. And the first of them is to see how to password protect an MPP file. Now in order to demonstrate this, I'm going to save a new version of the wedding project. So we're currently on wedding version 16 and I'm going to save this as wedding version 17. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the backstage area and click on Save As. I'm going to Browse. And for argument's sake, again, I'm just going to select my desktop. And I'm going to save this as version 17. So I'm just going to make a minor amendment to that file name. So before we hit the Save button, I want to do one small thing first. I'm going to go to this Tools drop down at the bottom of the dialog box. Click it and select General Options. And this is where you get the Save Options dialog box. Now I want you to ignore that first checkbox that says Always Create Backup, and then you can put either no password, one password, or two passwords on the file. At the moment it has no passwords and it has no password protection, so anybody can open the project and anybody can change it. Now if I put a protection password on, then somebody would need to know that password in order to be able to open the file. And if I put a right reservation password on, then what that means is that in order to make changes to the project, somebody would need to know the right reservation password. Now I'm going to put both passwords on in a moment. So I'm going to put a password on both of these and I'm going to make them the same. You can make them different if you want to. So I'm going to say PA55WD, which is basically a corruption of the word password. So again, PA55WD, and click on OK. And it's asking me to confirm, so PA55WD. And then again, the right reservation password, so PA55WD, and click on OK. And now I'm going to click on Save. So I'm going to reopen that file again by going back to File, down to Open. I'm going to go to Browse and pick up that file from my desktop. And there it is at the top. So if I double click, and you'll see it says that this file is protected and it requires a password in order for me to be able to open it. So let's type in that password. And then it asks me for the second password. And there we go, my file is open. Now I'm going to go back into Save As again. So let's go to File, down to Save As. I'm going to browse to my desktop again, and I'm going to save another version of this and do it slightly differently. So let's save it as 17A and click on Tools and General Options. And you can see it's carried over that password protection. So I could choose to remove that if I wanted to. So I'm actually going to remove the password and this time select Read Only Recommended and click on OK. And save. Let's close that down and reopen it again. So File, Open. I'm going to browse to my location and I'm going to select the top one there, 17A. And you'll see I get prompted. It says wedding 17A should be opened as read-only unless changes to it must be saved. Do you want to open the file as read-only? So if I click yes, the file's opened, but it is read-only, and you can see that indicated at the top in the title. So that means if I make any changes to a read-only file, I'll need to save it as a different version in order to continue. Now the second aspect of project security that I want to briefly talk to you about is the fact that it's possible for somebody to damage your computer system by running program code or macro code from a Microsoft project file. So if you receive a project file from somebody and open it in project and it has some macro code in it, you need to be careful about whether you want to actually allow that code to run or not. Now, we don't go too much into macro code in this course, but I do want to show you how to adjust your macro settings. So if we go into File, into that Backstage view, and go down to Options, you'll see the last item we have in this list on the left is Trust Center. And we want to jump into Trust Center Settings. And this is where you can control your macro settings. And the default setting is the one that we currently have highlighted, disable all macros with notification. So basically that says if you open a project file and it has macros in it, what project will say is, I'm not going to run those macros, but I will tell you that there are macros. So it will say something like, there are macros in this project. Do you want me to allow them to run? Now, if the project comes from somebody you trust, and you know there's macro code in it, and you need that macro code to do something, then you'll probably say, yes, I'm fine with that. Whereas if that file comes from maybe an untrusted source or somebody you don't know, you might want to hold off running those macros. So checking what your macro settings are is something really important. And as I said, the default and the recommended one is the second one there, but you can choose whichever one you feel suits you best. That's it for this section. I will see you in the next one.